Senate Republican. Peter?
I'm joined by Alabama's Richard Shelby. He's a member of the Appropriations Committee and also, of course, the Banking Committee. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Peter.
What do you expect to hear from the president? What will he say?
Well, I think we're all expecting to try to counter, in a sense, what Congressman Ryan put out last week. In other words, an alternative to the Ryan proposal. But the bottom line is the president is moving toward what? Deficit reduction, cuts in certain areas. He's talking the talk now. We got to see if he's going to really do it, and we need to see the details.
Entitlement reform, you've said yourself that both sides need to come to agreement on dealing with Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Is this now the time? How optimistic are you that you're going to see eye to eye with this president on those kinds of changes?
Well, I'm not optimistic. I'm always guarded and should be with that. We'll see what the president really says. We got to remember next year's an election year. And will there be a lot of things that get done that ought to be done? I doubt it. But the bottom line is, Peter, we've got to put everything on the table. We've got to put defense on the table. We've got to put a lot of our other spending, social programs, and evaluate them. We've never done that and see what's essential to America in the future. Otherwise, we're going down the road of financial destruction.
You said everything on the table, but John Boehner's already said tax increases are a non-starter. Are tax increases a non-starter for you?
I'm talking about cutting. I'm talking about taxes.
What about on the revenue side?
Well, I think that we first need to cut. One thing I would be for is tax reform, because if there were genuine tax reform, we would lower individuals' taxes. That's what I would be wanting to do, because there are a lot of people getting a free ride in this country. But until we do real tax reform, after we do some serious cutting, we have no credibility.
What about getting rid of those tax loopholes that corporate America enjoys right now, individuals as well, the mortgage deduction?
Well, I've advocated getting rid of loopholes a long time. I was the advocate for and introduced the flat rate tax. That gets rid of all the loopholes.
The Simpson-Bowles plan, there's some suggestions the president today is going to embrace to a much larger extent than he has so far what came out of the Deficit Commission plan. You know, some of your colleagues are here, bipartisan talks trying to make that plan into reality. What do you make of Simpson-Bowles and what they propose? And if the president goes and indeed embraces that, is that a good move? Is that something you can work with?
I think that Simpson-Bowles is a step in the right direction. There's a lot of questions about some of the things, especially revenue raising. I believe that Congress will not raise taxes, should not raise taxes, until and if we do serious cutting. We got to do that first. I think we've got to show the American people we're serious about cutting. Cutting $30–40 billion is on the margin. It's a beginning, but a small beginning.
You know, investors are watching this debt ceiling vote with a very careful eye, and there's already some suggestions it's affecting markets right now. How does this shake out without there being some sort of concern, unrest in financial markets? How does this get handled without Republicans again pushing things to the brink?
I think that we need to push. And we need to get some concessions on spending. If we don't, we'll continue, and this debt ceiling thing will come up a year from now, and we'll move it up again. We'll borrow more money, and the deficit will continue to grow, and the debt will continue to grow.
Are you worried at all, though, about the investor concerns right now? If you all push this like we had with the shutdown, that there's going to be an impact in the markets?
Oh, I think that we all survive. The sky never falls. We hear about it, but it hadn't fallen yet.
All right, Senator Richard Shelby of Alabama. The sky not falling quite yet. We'll hear more from the president a little bit later on today. His budget plan, Betty, and, of course, the Republican reaction to it.
You just heard the Republican response, or at least preview of a response to the president's speech. Thank you, Peter. And also thanks, of course, to Senator Richard Shelby. We are just a few moments away from the opening bell. Futures have closed higher. Looks like we're getting